A newborn baby boy just took his very first breath on this earth, and the world he opened his eyes to was not soft, was not safe, was not sacred. It was gunfire in the parking lot. It was a screaming brawl on the pavement. It was a jealous ex circling the block like a shark that already smells blood. And it was a grandmother, his own grandmother, going scorched earth online against his own mother while the epidural was probably still wearing off. Nevaeh Akira has officially delivered Blueface's fourth child, a beautiful little boy named Johnathan Jamall Porter Jr., and while every timeline you scroll is spreading that one picture of Blueface cradling his son with the softest, most disarming smile anyone has ever caught on that man's face, I need you to sit with me for a second. Because behind that photograph is a full-blown hurricane, and once I walk you through what the algorithm keeps burying, you are going to see why half of Black Twitter is typing the same four-letter word at Nevaeh right now. Run. Run, girl. Run before this little boy is old enough to Google his own last name. Run before Chrisian pulls up on you a second time. Run before Carlisa turns her Instagram live into your permanent character assassination. Run before Blueface convinces you that the next $160,000 stream is worth more than the piece of your postpartum body. Run, and let me tell you exactly why every reasonable person watching this situation from the outside is begging you to move, and why the ones who are not begging you to move are the exact ones you should be running from the hardest. For a minute now, we have all watched Blueface do the same tired song and dance. Every couple of months there is a new woman, a new stream, a new lawsuit, a new mugshot, a new mother of a new child, and a new promise that this time, Blueface is a family man. And every couple of months we watch that promise implode in the most public, most humiliating, most on-camera way possible. Blueface is not a private man. Blueface is a broadcast. Blueface is a live stream with a heartbeat. And when Blueface welcomes a new son into the world, he does not do it the way normal fathers do it, with a quiet hospital room and a family group chat. He does it with the entire internet in the delivery room, with rival baby mamas fighting for airtime, and with his own mother running a parallel commentary feed like she is calling a boxing match on pay-per-view. Listen, I am not exaggerating a single word of this. On the same night Johnathan Jr. was born, Blueface allegedly ended up in a physical altercation where at least one woman got kicked in the head, and eyewitnesses say Chrisian Rock was in the middle of it, again, like she has been in the middle of every other public brawl this crew has ever produced. A double knockdown, on the same night, in the same city, hours before or after that hospital gown came off. You cannot make this up, and I would not try. This is not gossip. This is on video. This is a rap sheet in the making. And the reason your feed keeps auto-scrolling past it is because the algorithm would rather show you the wholesome baby picture of Blueface holding Johnathan Jr. than the police report reality that came with it. Let me walk you through the setup, because if you are just tuning in, you might think Nevaeh is the new girl. She is not. Nevaeh Akira has been in this ring for a long time. Nevaeh was pregnant while Blueface was allegedly slipping off to Catalina Island with Chrisian Rock, and she was pregnant during the walk of shame moment the entire internet clipped and quote-tweeted into oblivion. This baby was conceived, carried, and delivered under the loudest, ugliest, most surveilled circumstances any pregnant woman in the public eye has ever had to survive. And through every single trimester, Blueface's mother Carlisa was on the timeline questioning the paternity, questioning the loyalty, questioning the intelligence of any woman who would let this man near her uterus in the first place. Carlisa did not take a single trimester off. Not one. You gotta understand, this is not just a rap story. This is a case study in what happens when three toxic circles overlap. You have Blueface, whose entire brand is being ungovernable. You have Chrisian Rock, whose entire mythology is being unable to walk away. You have Carlisa, whose entire platform is being publicly disappointed in every woman her son picks. And now you have Nevaeh Akira in the middle of it, a first-time mother, exhausted, hormonal, still healing, holding a baby whose father cannot decide which woman he loves this week. If you cannot see why the seams are ripping wide open, I do not know what to tell you. And if you have been watching this saga since Blueface first blew up out of Los Angeles years ago, you know exactly the pattern I am about to walk you through, because you have watched it happen at least 3 separate times already. Baby Johnathan Jr. was born on August 18 of 2026, at 7 in the evening, weighing 8 pounds, 20 inches long, with a head full of hair and, according to Nevaeh's own livestream from the hospital bed, his daddy's deep dimples pressed into a little face that looked, from every angle, exactly like Blueface. And still, Blueface's chat demanded a DNA test. Still Carlisa went online to raise her own doubts. Still the internet spent the entire night dissecting the baby's skin tone like they were forensic scientists instead of strangers on a phone. Nevaeh had to sit in a hospital bed, one day postpartum, and use her own livestream to defend her son against grown adults on the internet who had convinced themselves they were entitled to a paternity confirmation. Nevaeh looked at the camera and said, "Please stop trying to compare my child to people, y'all see his face." She should not have had to say that. Not on day one. Not on any day. Not with a fresh 4 still in her arm and a baby that literally looks like a photocopy of the father in question. But that was the appetizer. That was the entree warming up. Because the real storm was already brewing outside the hospital walls, and it was moving fast. Let me tell you about the night. The same night this baby was born, a live stream started rolling. Blueface and Chrisian Rock, on camera, together, drawing a reported $160,000 in gifts, tips, and subscriptions across the platforms. $160,000, on the same night this man became a father to another woman's child. Read that sentence again. Let it sit in your chest. While Nevaeh was in the hospital cradling their son, Blueface was reportedly online with Chrisian Rock, cashing checks off the exact chaos that his newborn's mother was trying to survive. Some fans defended it as, the bag is the bag. Other fans, the ones who still have working ethics, called it what it was. A public, monetized betrayal, timed to the day of a baby's birth. And the receipts do not lie. The stream was up. The gifts were logged. The numbers were screenshotted before Blueface's team could even scrub them. And it gets uglier. Because during that same window, a location got leaked. Somebody, allegedly a man with long dreads, allegedly connected to Blueface's inner circle, reportedly put an address into the wrong year, and the next thing you know shots are being fired near the crew. Shots. Fired. Near the crew. Of a man who just had a baby that morning. This is not the plot of a Netflix limited series. This is a Tuesday in Blueface's calendar. And when I say the internet needs to stop romanticizing this couple, this crew, this lifestyle, I am not being dramatic. I am telling you what is documented. Somebody could have died on the same night a baby was born. Somebody could have caught a stray on the same block where Nevaeh's family was celebrating. Nobody in that circle seems to be treating that as a wake-up call. And that is the part that should make every one of you watching pause the video and check your own tolerance for what you have been calling entertainment for the last 5 years. Now peep this next part, because this is the piece that took me from concerned to genuinely alarmed. Chrisian Rock, the mother of Blueface's other son, Chrisian Jr., allegedly popped up at Nevaeh's baby shower. A baby shower she was not invited to. A baby shower for another woman's baby. With another woman's family present. And Chrisian did it, according to multiple accounts, with the full confidence of someone who believed she still had a claim to the space. Chrisian, at Nevaeh's shower, uninvited. Do you understand how deeply unwell that is? Do you understand what it takes for a woman to walk into another woman's celebration, pregnant belly full of another man's promises broken, and behave like the guest of honor was actually the intruder? Because that is what allegedly happened. And Nevaeh, God bless her, apparently kept her composure. But the internet did not. The clips flew. The receipts stacked. And the story of Nevaeh's baby shower became, instead of a celebration of a child on the way, a viral confrontation between two women whose only mistake was believing the same man, at different points in his very short, very loud career. Look, I have been covering these 3 names for years now, and every time I think we have hit the floor of how ugly this can get, one of them digs a basement. Carlisa, Blueface's mother, has spent the last several weeks on her own platform openly questioning whether Johnathan Jr. is even biologically her grandson. Carlisa. His grandmother. Publicly. On camera. In front of her entire following. Do you know what that does to a first-time mother's nervous system? Do you know what that does to the postpartum psyche of a woman who just gave birth after months of the worst pregnancy discourse the internet has ever hosted? Carlisa has always played the role of the mother-in-law from a horror film, but this current chapter, the one where she casts doubt on her own son's newborn while that newborn is still in a bassinet, this is a new floor. This is a subterranean floor. This is the kind of behavior that no amount of, she's just protecting her son, apologetic can wash off. And I say that as someone who has, at various points in this multi-year saga, actually tried to give Carlisa the benefit of the doubt. And look, I know some of you are going to say Blueface is a grown man, he can make his own choices, this is just a rapper being a rapper, this is just what fame does. I hear you. I do. But I need you to zoom out. I need you to look at the pattern. Blueface has now fathered 4 children. 4. 2 with Jaden Alexis, Javon and Journey, 1 with Chrisian Rock, Chrisian Jr., and now Johnathan Jr. with Nevaeh Akira. 4 children. 4 birth stories. And not a single one of those birth stories reads like a peaceful welcome into a stable home. Every one of them has been marinated in public dispute, live stream drama, courtroom threats, and mother versus mother warfare. Jaden had to survive a Chrisian confrontation. Chrisian had to survive her own reportedly catastrophic pregnancy with Chrisian Jr., the drinking, the partying, the on-camera brawls that had the entire internet begging her to sit down. And now Nevaeh has to survive whatever this current chapter is. 4 children. 4 different mothers of trauma. 1 father who keeps pressing record and cashing the check while it plays. The seams are ripping wide open, y'all. And what makes this Johnathan Jr. situation different, what makes it, in my honest opinion, the most dangerous chapter yet, is the compounding. Every previous baby mama had 1 storm to weather. Nevaeh has 3 converging at once. She has Chrisian showing up uninvited. She has Carlisa questioning paternity in public. She has Blueface live streaming with his ex on the same night his son was born. And she has the entire internet debating her child's skin tone like this is a 19th century auction block. If you do not think that combination raises the postpartum depression risk to a red alert level, you have never been in a delivery room, you have never talked to a labor and delivery nurse, and you have absolutely no business commenting on Nevaeh's mental state right now. Let me talk to you about the streaming night for a second, because I want you to really understand what $160,000 means in this context. That is not just a big bag. That is a message. That is Blueface and Chrisian telling the market that their chaos is more profitable together than his fatherhood is apart. That is a business decision. Ask yourself, if that stream printed 6 figures on the day his son was born, what do you think next month's stream is going to look like? What do you think next year's is going to look like? Do you think a man who just discovered his most viral moment coincides with the day he became a father again is going to voluntarily stop chasing that dopamine? Blueface is not. This is the new template. This is the new algorithm. And Nevaeh Akira and her newborn are, whether they want it to be or not, permanent supporting cast members in Blueface and Chrisian's ongoing monetized dysfunction. Their faces will show up in every thumbnail, every clip repost, every reaction video for the next 5 years, whether Nevaeh signs off on it or not. And here is where it gets legally interesting, because there are people in the culture, very serious people, lawyers and behavioral analysts and former reality TV producers, who have been suggesting for a long time that certain public fights between Blueface and Chrisian look choreographed. Not real. Not organic. Not 2 people losing control. But 2 people creating footage that, if ever needed in a courtroom, would establish a paper trail of mutual combat or self-defense claims. I am not saying that is what happened. I am saying that theory has been floating in the culture for over a year now, and every new brawl Blueface and Chrisian stage on camera makes that theory look a little less crazy. If any of these altercations were engineered, even partially, for legal insurance, then every woman in Blueface's orbit is being used as an unwitting extra in a legal chess game she never agreed to play. Nevaeh included. Especially Nevaeh, now that a 4th child is on the board and custody is a phone call away from becoming the biggest story of Blueface's entire career. Baby, this is where I need you to lock in. Because we are about to talk about Chrisian Rock, and I want to be careful here, I really do, but I also want to be honest. Chrisian has spent years telling anyone who will listen that she sees herself in the lineage of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. She has embraced the toxic couple comparison. She has leaned into it. She has monetized it. And there is a whole generation of young women watching that dynamic and confusing chaos with love, confusing volatility with passion, confusing, he keeps coming back, with, he actually loves me. That is what makes this Nevaeh chapter so painful to watch. Because Nevaeh is not a chaos artist. Nevaeh is not a live stream personality who thrives on public brawls. Nevaeh looks, from every clip I have seen, like a young woman who genuinely believed she was building something private and got dragged into a public spectacle she never signed up for. And now Nevaeh has a son. A son who is going to grow up and one day open a phone and scroll through every single one of these clips. Every one. The catalog is permanent. YouTube does not forget. TikTok does not forget. Instagram does not forget. And Johnathan Jr., at some point, is going to sit down and watch the story of his own birth week the way the rest of us are watching it right now, and try to make sense of it in a therapist's office he did not ask to be in. I want every one of you to hold that thought. Hold it. Because we are so used to consuming this content in real time that we forget these are actual human beings with actual futures. Johnathan Jr. did not consent to being born on the same night his father was allegedly kicking a woman in the head on a rival stream. Johnathan Jr. did not consent to being born in the middle of a paternity debate in his father's chat. Johnathan Jr. did not consent to being the fourth entry on his father's discography of children. Johnathan Jr. is a baby. He is 8 pounds and 20 inches. He has his father's dimples. And he deserves, at minimum, a mother who is protected long enough to heal without the whole timeline weighing in on the pigmentation of his cheeks. Which brings me back to the word the internet keeps typing. Run. Because let me tell you what the pattern says. The pattern says every woman who has stayed in this ecosystem has been ground down. Jaden Alexis, the mother of Blueface's first 2 children, has been publicly humiliated on more live streams than I can count. Chrisian Rock, whose relationship with Blueface was documented in a Zeus Network reality show, has been through arrests, on-camera brawls, alleged pregnancy incidents, and public custody disputes with her infant son. And now Nevaeh, the newest arrival in this saga, is being welcomed into motherhood with a shower crashed by an ex, a stream monetized off her birthday, and a mother-in-law tweeting doubts about her son's DNA. The pattern is not subtle. The pattern is not new. The pattern is a warning label taped to the door of every relationship Blueface has ever entered, and Nevaeh walked past it because love, when it is real, makes you walk past warning labels. That is not a character flaw. That is a human trait. But it is also, in this specific ecosystem, a liability that has to be corrected before the baby is old enough to remember the correction. But let me walk you through the receipts, because I do not want anybody accusing me of speculation. The date of birth is August 18, 2026, confirmed by multiple outlets including The Shade Room and Complex and Power 105.1. The name change from what fans initially thought was Solar Porter to the actual Johnathan Jamall Porter Jr. was announced by Blueface and Nevaeh within a day of the delivery. The livestream numbers involving Blueface and Chrisian on the same night are backed by screenshotted platform stats that have been circulating on Twitter for the last 72 hours. The baby shower incident is corroborated by multiple attendees who posted from inside the venue before the situation escalated. The alleged location leak and the shots fired report are being talked about by several credible gossip-adjacent journalists who have been covering Blueface's circle for years. Nothing in this video is being pulled out of thin air. Every single beat of this story has a receipt. And every single receipt points to the same conclusion: this baby was born into a war zone that his father, Blueface, has spent his entire adult life building, brick by monetized brick. Now peep this next part, because this is the part nobody wants to talk about. The dark part. Carlisa Save, Blueface's mother, has done more damage to her son's romantic future than any label executive, any lawsuit, any beef with another rapper ever could. When your own mother trains the internet to distrust every woman you bring home, you end up with a rotating cast of women who never get the chance to be loved in peace. Carlisa has publicly torn apart Jaden. Carlisa has publicly torn apart Chrisian. And now Carlisa is publicly casting doubt on Nevaeh's baby before the umbilical cord has finished healing. At some point, and I say this as somebody who has watched this family for a long time, Carlisa has to be named for what she is. Carlisa is not a concerned mother. Carlisa is a co-conspirator in the destruction of her son's ability to hold a family together. And every time we, the audience, laugh at her lives or share her clips or engage with her posts, we are reinforcing the exact dynamic that keeps Blueface's children being born into chaos. Every retweet. Every duet. Every, girl, she said it, comment. All of it is fuel on a fire that ends with a 4-year-old asking why grandma keeps calling mommy names on the internet. I know that is a lot to take in. I know some of you love Carlisa. I know some of you love the drama. But I am asking you, for the sake of this baby, if nothing else, to think about who you are giving oxygen to. Because Johnathan Jr. is going to grow up either in a household that heals or a household that hemorrhages, and the trajectory it goes will depend on whether Nevaeh is given the space to be a mother without a peanut gallery of grown adults commenting on her every diaper change, and it will depend on whether Blueface can, for the first time in his adult life, draw a boundary between his mother's platform and his own family's peace. And here is the twist. Here is the part one did not want to say out loud, but I am going to say it anyway. There is a part of me that thinks Blueface actually loves Nevaeh. I know. I know how that sounds. But hear me out. When you look at the picture of Blueface holding Johnathan Jr., you are looking at a different man. That is not the man who kicks women in the head at 2 in the morning outside a club. That is not the man who live streams with his ex on the same night his son is born. That is a man who, for a moment, one flickering, camera flash moment, remembered what a soft thing love actually is. And that is the tragedy of Blueface. He knows what love is. He remembers what love is. Blueface is fully capable of love. He just cannot stay in it long enough for it to build anything. And every woman who walks into his life is walking into a lottery where the prize is a photograph of tenderness and the tax is a decade of public humiliation, courtroom appearances, and a comment section that never, ever, ever forgets a single thing you did wrong in front of a camera. Nevaeh, if you are watching this, and I know you probably are, because everybody in this ecosystem watches everything, I need you to hear me. You cannot make Blueface choose. Blueface will not choose. He does not know how. The moment you demand a choice, you become the villain in Carlissa's Next Live. The moment you demand accountability, you become the controlling baby mama in his chat. The moment you demand peace, you become the boring one that Krazian gets to laugh at on stream. This is the game. This is the whole game. And the only winning move, the only one, is the one the internet keeps typing at you in every single comment section under every single post about Johnathan Jr. Run. Not away. Toward a therapist. Toward a lawyer. Toward a custody arrangement that protects your son from being a prop. Toward a friend circle that does not need to sign NDAs to sit on your couch. Toward a version of your life where Johnathan Jr.'s first memory is not the sound of his grandmother questioning his blood, or the sound of his father's livestream chat calling his mother out of her name, or the sound of a rival baby mama laughing about him in the background of a Zeus rerun. And listen, because this is important, I need to say something specifically to the women in the comments who are already sharpening their knives for Nevaeh, because I know that is coming. Every time a black woman becomes the newest name in a public custody war, there is a segment of the internet that appoints itself judge, jury, and executioner. She should have known. She should have picked better. She should have run when she saw the first flag. All of that is true, and none of it is useful. Nobody meets the version of a man that exists in his mother's life. Nobody meets the version of him that exists in his ex's phone. You meet the man who shows you the softest version of himself, and by the time the other versions arrive, you are pregnant. Nevaeh is not stupid. Nevaeh is not desperate. Nevaeh is a young woman who fell for a man she thought had grown, and now she is finding out what every one of us finds out at some point: growth is not linear, and public men rarely make it out of their pattern without breaking somebody first. Do not pile on. Pull her up. Let me hit you with one more thing before we get to the close, because I think it might be the most important beat in this entire story. This baby, Johnathan Jr., was born into a family where his father, Blueface, was raised by Carlissa, a woman who has spent her entire public life demonstrating that love and warfare are indistinguishable. Blueface did not invent the pattern he is currently living. Blueface inherited the pattern. And unless something interrupts the cycle, unless a therapist, a court order, a lawyer, a genuine reckoning enters this family, Johnathan Jr. is going to inherit the pattern too. That is what generational chaos looks like. It looks like a soft-smiling father in a hospital gown who genuinely believes, in this moment, that he is going to break the cycle, while every single behavior he displays for the rest of the week reveals that the cycle is louder than he is. This is why Nevaeh's next 6 months matter more than the next 60 years of Blueface discography. Because whatever she chooses right now becomes the origin story of this child. Whatever boundary she draws or does not draw becomes the wallpaper of his first memory. And if she can, she has to be the one to break the pattern, because Blueface has already shown us 4 times over that he cannot. I want to close this the same way I opened it, because I think it matters. A newborn baby just took his first breath on this earth. He deserved silence. He got sirens. He deserved safety. He got a spectacle. He deserved a family. He got a franchise. And whether Johnathan Jamall Porter Jr. grows up to be the exception or the extension of his father's pattern is going to depend entirely on the woman holding him right now, in a hospital bed, in a viral photograph, in a moment the internet is already trying to weaponize against her. Nevaeh is holding more than a baby. Nevaeh is holding a decision. And every one of us watching from the outside has a responsibility to make that decision easier for her, not harder. I am rooting for Nevaeh. I am rooting for the baby. I am even, in some private, exhausted corner of my heart, rooting for Blueface, because I think there is a version of Blueface who could have been a great father, and I mourn that version every time a new headline drops. But rooting is not enough. What Nevaeh needs is protection. What Johnathan Jr. needs is peace. What Blueface needs is a mirror. What Carlisa needs is a moment of silence. What Chrisian needs is a therapist she actually shows up for. And what the culture needs is to stop treating this family's collapse as entertainment worth 6 figures a night. So tell me what you are thinking down below. Do you think Nevaeh is going to stay? Do you think Nevaeh is going to run? Do you think Carlisa will ever apologize? Do you think Chrisian is done crashing showers? Do you think Blueface even understands what he just brought into the world? Do you think Johnathan Jr. has a real shot at a peaceful childhood, or is he already booked as the next season of the Blueface show? Drop it in the comments. Every single perspective matters, because the more we talk about it honestly, the harder it becomes for the algorithm to keep glorifying this cycle and rewarding this level of dysfunction with 6-figure streaming nights. And listen, before you scroll, I need you to do one more thing. I need you to look at that photograph one more time. That photo of Blueface holding his son. Really look at it. Because that face, that soft, disarmed, momentarily human face, is the face of a man who could have chosen differently at any point in the last decade and did not. It is also the face of a father who still has a chance to choose differently starting tomorrow. Whether Blueface will is anyone's guess. But if he does not, we all know exactly what the next 12 months of headlines are going to look like. We all know exactly which woman is going to be blamed for a fire she did not start. And we all know exactly which grandmother will be on live celebrating that blame in real time, with a ring light aimed at her face and a Cash App tag in her bio. Do not let it be Nevaeh. Do not let it be the baby. Do not let this story end the way every Blueface story has ended before it. Because there is one thing I have not said yet, and I am going to say it now, because I think it might be the only thing that actually reaches somebody who needs to hear it. Every viral moment in this saga, every knockout, every shower crash, every leaked location, every 6-figure live stream, is worth exactly nothing on the day Johnathan Jr. turns 18 and asks his mother what happened the week he was born. On that day, no dollar amount will justify any of it. On that day, Nevaeh will either be able to hand him a story about how she protected him, or she will have to hand him a highlight reel and hope he forgives her. That is the only ledger that matters. And that ledger is being written right now, in real time, one decision at a time, with the entire internet as witness. So run, Nevaeh. Toward peace. Toward protection. Toward a life where Johnathan Jr.'s birthday is remembered as the day his mother started building him a soft place to land, not the day his father's stream broke 160,000. Run in the direction of the woman you were before you met Blueface, and take everything you learned in the aftermath with you as evidence for court. Run toward the friends who told you the truth even when you did not want to hear it. Run toward the therapist who is going to help you understand why the soft version of him felt so real when the loud version was standing right there the whole time. And take that baby with you. Take Johnathan Jr. Take his little dimples and his head full of hair and his 8-pound perfect self, and go somewhere the algorithm cannot find you for a while. Go somewhere Carlisa cannot live stream from. Go somewhere Chrisian cannot pull up on. Go somewhere Blueface has to actually show up, sober and quiet and unrecorded, if he wants to be a part of your son's life. And let the internet spend its outrage on the next Blueface headline, because trust me, there will be one, and it will not have your name in it if you play this right. I will see you on the next one, and trust me, at the pace this family is moving, the next one is coming faster than any of us are ready for. Because the moment Chrisian sees this baby getting more love than her own, the moment Carlisa sees Nevaeh gaining a fanbase of her own, the moment Blueface realizes he has to actually parent a 4th child instead of just posting a photo of one, that is the moment the next viral incident detonates. And when it does, you already know where to find me. Same channel. Same energy. Same commitment to telling you what the algorithm is trying to bury. Run, girl. And take that baby with you. Because Johnathan Jr. deserves a mother who is still standing on the day he learns how to say her name, and if the last few weeks have taught us anything, it is that standing in this ecosystem is a full-time job that only the most protected women survive. Because here is the thing nobody in Blueface's camp wants to admit, every celebrity baby born into a public war eventually has to sit down with a version of the timeline that their parents cannot control, and the parents who did the work early are the parents whose children forgive them later. The parents who did not are the parents whose children go on their own podcasts at 22 and burn the whole family to the ground in a single sit-down interview. That is the future Nevaeh Akira is choosing between right now, whether she realizes it or not. That is the future Blueface is choosing between too, whether his ego lets him see it or not. And that is the future Carlisa is actively voting against every single time she opens her live and questions a paternity that the baby's own face has already answered. Look at the numbers, if you need them. Look at how many public feuds Blueface has been involved in since his career started. Look at how many mothers of his children have publicly cried on camera. Look at how many restraining orders, mugshots, courtroom photos, and viral security camera clips carry his name. And then look at that one photograph of Blueface holding Johnathan Jr. And ask yourself which version wins in the long run, the man in the photo, or the man on the balance sheet. Because they cannot both be him forever. One of them has to give. And history, Blueface history, specifically, tells us which one usually loses. I want to leave you with one final thought, and then I promise I will let you go. If Johnathan Jr. is going to have a fighting chance, 3 things have to happen inside the next 6 months. Nevaeh has to secure legal counsel that is not connected in any way to Blueface's camp. Blueface has to actually go dark for a season and figure out whether he wants to be a father or a franchise. And Carlisa has to make a decision about whether she wants to be a grandmother or a content creator, because she cannot be both without collateral damage to the child. Those are the 3 lanes. That is the whole roadmap. And if you love this baby, if you actually love Johnathan Jr., not the drama around him, then those are the 3 outcomes you should be praying for out loud. Everything else, the Krisian of it all, the Carlisa of it all, the 6-figure streams of it all, everything else is noise designed to distract you from the only story that matters. And the only story that matters is that a baby was born on August 18, 2026, and the adults around him are the ones deciding, in real time, whether his first chapter reads like a warning or a redemption. Choose the redemption, Blueface. Choose the peace, Nevaeh. Choose the silence, Carlisa. Choose the therapist, Krisian. And if none of them will choose it for him, then we, the audience, the algorithm, the viewers who made every one of these people rich, we have to be the ones who stop clicking on the version of this story that hurts the baby and start clicking on the version that helps him. That is the last power we have left in this ecosystem. Use it. Run, girl. And take that baby with you. Because Johnathan Jr. deserves a mother who is still standing on the day he learns how to say her name. And Nevaeh Akira, if she plays this next season right, is going to be exactly that mother. Watch. Just watch.